Today we'll be going over these Nitecore UFZ100 batteries, and we'll be going over the quality of the product, how long they last, how fast they charge, and if they can perform under a high stress scenario or fold like married men. Full disclaimer, Nitecore sent me these batteries to review, however opinions are my own, kind of like dead.
Wow.
Before we get into the features of the product, let's have a listen to the sound of the product. To my ears, the Nitecore sounds and it feels the strongest among these three batteries. It's interesting that this battery right here is more hard than the Sony batteries, and it's a lot more hard than the third-party battery. And when it comes to the finish, I would say that the Sony has a better finish than this battery. Of course, this one is better than my other third-party battery. So you have to ask yourself a question: why would you need a product like this? You had a shoot the night before. In the morning, you brought both batteries like the responsible person that you are. Too bad you didn't charge them. Well, with these batteries, you can charge them in the car. You could charge them with a battery power bank. And not only that, you can tell if they are charged or not. It has this button right here. You press it and it tells you the status of the battery. So you don't have to put it into your camera to find out how much battery is left. This feature has a flaw, and I'll get to it at the end of the video where I have a separate wish list. So how long do these last? It claims to have 2200 milliamp hours, 2250 to be exact. However, the capacity of this lens is easier to remember, that it's a 16 watt hour battery. So it can produce 16 watts of energy for 1 hour of time. I hope that makes a lot more sense than these 2200 milliamp batteries, because once you get into the bigger batteries, Nitecore offers these MPF 750s. I think they do 970s and the smaller 500 series as well. These are great for powering small lights like I am right now. My key light is just a small light because I don't have space for a big softbox like those bigger YouTubers. I'm just a small channel. So I use these batteries here and in the back, and that keeps it going for a very long time. These they take me a long time to get it right. Back to how long they last, I had these items tested. So what I did was I recorded HD because I just didn't want the drives filling up. However, I recorded for as long as I could with the original battery, with the third-party battery, and with these Nitecore batteries. And by the end of the test, I also checked out how hot these get, and the Nitecore was at 107 degrees while the Sony came in at 97 degrees. The Sony doesn't have a charger inside of it, so that could explain why, there's more, I guess, free space for the heat to dissipate. In terms of the delta in temperature, I think the difference in 9 degrees isn't going to make and break any electronic device, which typically gets much hotter. Back to how long they last, I had these items tested. So what I did was I recorded HD because I just didn't want the drives filling up. However, I recorded for as long as I could with the original battery, with the third-party battery, and with these Nitecore batteries. And here are the results. With the Nitecore, I was able to record 2 hours and 22 minutes, very respectable. With the Sony OEM, I was able to record 2 hours and 43 minutes. So that's a difference of 21 minutes. And it seemed to be consistent in that it's around that ballpark. On the next try, I got 2 hours, 37 minutes. And on the next try with the Nitecore, I got 2 hours and 23 minutes, excuse me. So you're not getting the full capacity. However, you are getting additional features. This next test is going to be a charging test, and I'll be using the Sony OEM charger and comparing it to a random 6-port charger that I have devices scrolled up everywhere. It's just one of those fast chargers. And before I get to that, I want to state that this thing uses quick charge technology. It's not using power delivery. How does that make a difference? I don't know until I put it on the charger. And what I did was I was charging both of these batteries at the same time. And of course, the Nitecores and the Sony were completely depleted from the test before the duration test. So when I was charging it, I found out that the Nitecore took about the same time as the Sony to charge, which was very pleasing, to be honest, because this thing doesn't need an external charger. It just uses USB-C, and there seems to be no penalty based on OEM. So it's charging somewhere. If this is a 16 watt-hour battery and it takes 2 hours, then it's charging around 8 watts. That's just my rough math. So there's one oddball thing that happened during these tests, that the files were off and on. Most of the time the Nitecore files were bigger. Some of the times the Sony files were smaller, and there's one of the time that Sony file was as the same. So I could have controlled it better if I had everything facing the right direction. I just started recording and put the camera down on the bed. It was either day or night. These tests took a long time, and I didn't really factor that into the formula. This next test is to see how it can handle this high stress environment, or will it give up like last Saturday's drunk date. So what I did was I got the A7S III and I put it on 4K all Intra. So that's the highest rate it writes to the card. It writes a lot, and it's going to heat up the batteries. And I want to see if the battery's going to shut down or not. So what I did was I started recording, and it went through the entire 24 minutes until the card got full. At that point, it still had 80% capacity. So in that scenario, it's a winner in my books. It went through the highest stress environment scenario that's possible with this given camera, and it didn't inadvertently shut down. So my final thoughts: these batteries do last a long time, in line with other third-party batteries. They are extremely convenient. The ability to view the battery capacity while it's not in the camera, the ability to charge with your power bank or whatever accessory you have in your car, and the fact that the battery is super rugged. I'm impressed. As for my wish list, there are some things I think Nitecore could have done better. First of all is 4 battery levels rather than 3. The current 3 says above 50%, below 50%, and below 10%. So above 50% is kind of massive. You could be at 60%, you could be at 90%. If they split that in half, say above 75%, above 50, above 10, it would be a lot better that way. That's just my opinion. Another thing I really wish Nitecore could have done: USB-C charging from the bottom so I can get continuous power. Probably can't happen because of the controller. That's just my guess. It would be a much more complicated controller than the one that's in this right here, and the tech is probably very expensive and not worth it. However, that would have been really nice if you could fully power the camera and charge the battery at the same time. That way I don't have to worry about breaking the USB-C power pin on my camera. If I break it on the battery for any reason, then it's just less costly for repair because I will just buy another battery. But on top of that, having a bottom mount USB-C just feels better than a side mount USB-C for powering the camera. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, sub, share. See you on the next one. Take care.